I attribute it to decades-old attacks on the working class of this country. I attribute it to horrific trade agreements which have allowed corporate America to throw millions of workers out on the street and move to China, Mexico, and other low-wage countries. I attribute it to a corrupt political system in which billionaires have significant control over both political parties. So that, for example, right now in Washington, the national minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. So you got millions of workers today, making 10, 12, 13 bucks an hour. You tell me, how do people survive on 13 bucks an hour? When we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, you worked for a large company. You had something called a defined benefit pension plan. That means you work for me for 30 years. When you retire, you're going to get X hundreds of dollars a week. That's long gone. Corporations have gotten rid of that. So you got something like half of older workers in America have nothing in the bank when they face retirement. So I think, to answer your question, I think you got a rigged system controlled economically and politically by very, very wealthy and powerful people who could care less for working families. Now, I don't want to romanticize the old days because that would not be true. But there used to be a kind of a culture. If I was a boss and I ran a factory, I had a little bit of concern for you, right?
Right.
In general, I would say, I know your wife, how's your mom doing and all that stuff. That's gone. You got these companies that are owned by other companies that are owned by supranationals. We got involved in my office. We used to be the chairman of the Labor Committee, Health, Education, Labor. So I got involved in a lot of stuff. And when workers were out on strike, we would call up and see what was going on, see how we can help. So we'd call up to the company and we'd say, why are you cutting back on health care for your workers? Well, we don't make that decision. It's owned by somebody else. Call up somebody else. Well, we're owned by somebody else. You know how it is. It's just these huge conglomerates own the bloody world. And these guys don't give a damn about the needs of working people. So I would say that the economy becomes less and less personal. You're my worker. I have no care about you because right now I'm owned by an international who doesn't know that you exist.
And there's also a diffusion of responsibility.
Absolutely.
It's not even in your hands.
Exactly. So the local boss might say, hey, listen, I'm really sorry, but I didn't have any decision in here.
Right. There's nothing I can do.
Nothing I can do.